Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our newest live, coming to you live from our home in Mexico City.
Yeah, I'm Lindy.
And I'm Roddy. And for those who don't know, we share our lives here in Mexico. We originally moved here to Queretaro, Mexico in 2021 after gaining financial independence through real estate. But now we decided to move to Mexico City, and we've been here about 2 months. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about why move to Mexico, which I know is a pretty popular topic.
And why we didn't choose other popular retirement destinations.
Right. And why we're never going back. Maybe.
Maybe. For this moment, no.
Yeah. When it comes to words like never, you never want to be certain.
Right.
But we have talked about it, over the last few weeks about staying or kind of our long-term goals, whether we'd move back to the US or not. I think right now at the moment we're definitely leaning towards we could definitely see ourselves staying here for the long term.
Yeah.
Whether we call Mexico City home in the future or another town, that is yet to be seen.
Yeah. So let's go back to our topic. Why we didn't choose other countries, but Mexico to be our second home or for the home for now.
Right. So, when people decide to maybe take that jump and move abroad, you should look at all the different options out there. Right? And again, what are you looking for? Is going to kind of lead you to where you feel is best for you. We know a lot of popular areas are Mexico, or Central or South America.
Right.
Southeast Asia is another popular area. And one that's been gaining popularity that's actually in Europe is Portugal. Right.
Portugal is the new one. Yeah.
Right. And of course, there are other places that people can go, but these seem to be the kind of popular areas. So for us, and again, why do we cut out the other places? Obviously we ended up choosing Mexico, and that's what we'll talk about more as we kind of move along. But why do we cut out Central and South America? Let's start with there.
I think the distance-wise, Mexico is just so close to the US. And we have our real estate business back in Houston area. So for us, it's convenient.
Sure.
And your mother is still in Texas. So even anything, emergency, you never know. People are getting old. You can fly back within hours.
Right. And I think it also tends to be a lot more affordable too. Right. As a compared to like flying to Costa Rica or South America somewhere. Because yes, some of the other places we did consider, are, again, popular areas, or we've talked about even, Costa Rica, a place like maybe Argentina, right?
Yeah.
Or the west coast of South America. Like I even know, like even Argentina right now, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with their economy. They're talked about maybe even going to the U.S. dollar, or they're devaluing their money by quite a bit. So it could be good for people who are considering a nice area. Like we've never personally been, but again, your money may go a lot further now in Argentina than it did in the past, because there's a lot of economic things going on there.
But this is for sure. But once you consider the flight tickets.
Oh yeah, the flight ticket, and once you're there, obviously.
Once you're there,
but flying there is not easy.
Christmas, family together, mom's sick, something going on, business goes wrong. We need to go back. 3 of us. Now Louie is already 3. He has to pay the full
price.
That's not cheap. If you consider that.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, the flights are very expensive and very long. Like even from here, it's like 13 hours or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. It's something like it's 10, 12, 13 hours from Mexico City to get to Argentina. Yeah. So add a couple extra hours of that to get back to the US, and even especially back to where I live, where you have to take a transfer.
And also the Buenos Aires. Sure, we have a friend live in Queretaro. She's from there.
Yeah.
And then she moved to Queretaro for the business. And that way we checked the Buenos Aires. Yeah, it's a cool place. Lots of people also retire there.
Yeah.
But then even they fly domestic fly, it still takes hours.
Oh yeah.
It's just far from literally
everywhere.
Yeah.
So again, I think Mexico does kind of check off that box as far as it's being closer, and it is more affordable to fly back quickly.
Yeah. And why we didn't choose Costa Rica, which is also popular.
Oh, sure.
Right. We can talk about country by country.
Oh, a little bit. We don't want to go about every country.
Right. We also don't know, or it's really pro and cons in every country. But just from what I see, what I understand, in Costa Rica, cost of living is also higher.
Right. And I know, like, even real estate, like renting and stuff, is very expensive for, I mean, I guess what some may consider less maybe not as nice a place, you're going to pay just as much. And again, we're basing this on things we've seen on YouTube and on TV, on professional productions, whatever that may be.
I bet that there are cheaper places for rental.
Sure, right? But what do you get for that price?
HGTV always show you more expensive rentals.
Right, more expensive rentals, and then but they still don't look as nice as like here.
Yeah,
that's in general.
That's true.
Right, and I think we talked about this, and we are making a bit of assumptions, but things like even food we've heard is a little bit more expensive.
More imported.
Right, because if you think about it, again, Costa Rica. And again, if anyone from Costa Rica is watching, tell us if we're wrong. It being so tropical and mountainous, it just doesn't seem like an area that can grow and kind of support its own food, especially for so many people coming in. So the food has to be, you have to pay a more premium for it. So little things like that, because sure, is it a beautiful country? Looks like it.
Yeah.
Right?
And also what I understand from people who already traveled there, they said, oh, just from San Jose, drive all the way to the beach, the roads.
Yeah, the infrastructure.
Nice. It's a lot of holes and just the whole facilities, infrastructures, and anything else. Those basic things are not as nice as Mexico.
Right. So I mean, and again, there are other places we did talk about in Central South America in general, or that we've kind of looked into and seen. But again, I know another popular area, and we have talked about this, is Southeast Asia. Right.
Yeah.
I know one of the popular places we kind of keep going back to and looking is like Malaysia. Right. What are some of the pros of Malaysia? Why have we considered Malaysia?
Cost of living, food, language for Louie to speak Mandarin and get the Chinese culture. Because Malaysia is combined with the local Malays and Chinese, Indian, right, and other regions. Sure. It's become more and more popular, not just Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and other cities. That's the pro. Cost of living is lower.
Very nice.
A lot of street food, even restaurant food, the rent, even in Penang, I know the sea view apartments about $400, $500 US.
And for very nice.
For sea view, have a balcony, those big apartments.
Right.
So you have many choices there.
Right. And when you're talking about the food, I mean, look. Food. Chinese, Malay, and Indian. I mean, those are three of the best foods out there.
And also, of course, more international cuisines there. And the schools, international schools there. And peaceful. The whole country is pretty peaceful. Not much nature disasters. Yeah, that's what the people live there told me. And I even don't believe it. I went to Google search. They barely had any earthquake. The last one was after the tsunami, which not really originally from Malaysia.
Right. I think it's a little bit more protected by the other islands. I think that's why it's not so doesn't have so much chance of getting hit by tsunamis or hurricanes, because it's kind of protected, even though it's kind of a
bay,
peninsula,
a harbor, right? And the
still
canal.
Pretty safe.
Yeah, but the only thing I think two things stopped us is the number one, of course, the heat.
Oh yeah.
The heat, it's still any Southeast Asia countries are very hot. Hot and very hot. That's two weathers in Malaysia.
Right, the two seasons, hot and hotter, right?
Hot and hotter. Another thing
is going to be distance, which again, I mean, obviously, we already talked about the distance between Central and South America. So now if we're talking about going to the other side of the world, we won't mention that again for every place we're going to mention. But when you start getting that way, obviously distance and cost is going to be a lot more. I think even more than going to Central or South America.
Easily $1,000 USD a person. Flight.
Right.
More than that.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're lucky. Long flights with a little one, that's pretty frustrating.
Right. So and I know you mentioned before things like the if you do want to live there, like kind of getting the residency requirements in Malaysia are very difficult or very high. Yeah,
even just for tourists, you can only stay. I think don't get me count me on that. I think it was less than 3 months, maybe only 1 month.
Right.
But anyway, even just 3 months, you need to get out of the country and go inside. That's extra cost.
Right.
You drive to Thailand, it's still time.
Sure.
Right? And then the residence
requirements, right?
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Like it's easy to get in, like monthly income, like family or per person, you need to make 8,000 USD a month. That's just for they have called a second home visa, which I found online. And then once you get it, they ask you to put like 1 million Malaysia money, which is equal to about 250K USD to the Malaysia bank account.
Right.
And after 1 year, you are only allowed to take half of those money out, which is equal to 125K USD. It's supposed to spend those money on housing or your kids' schools or medications. Of course, that's the original purpose.
Right.
So once the money is sitting in the Malaysia bank account, they only give you 3% on interest rate.
Oh, it's terrible. I didn't know that.
I think it's ripping off. I read this. I said, that's ridiculous. And one of the YouTuber moved to Malaysia. She said, yeah, there will be new regulation, a new law come out this year. What that mean? That means even higher or lower? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, right. That's just block a lot of foreigners who want to move there, who love the Malaysia culture and the living standard. But it's so hard. Who has the 250K USD for most people?
Right. So I guess they're just trying to be very selective about the people who come in. They want to make sure they hit a certain standard. Yeah. So we talked about Malaysia, and I think even places like Vietnam, Thailand, we've talked about. And again, all the cons are pretty much the exact same thing we talked about. Maybe residency requirements are a little bit different, maybe easier to get into those countries.
True.
And again, you have great culture, great food in Vietnam and Thailand that we absolutely love. We have visited Thailand before in the past, and it's a great country. But again, you're talking about heat and humidity, and then just the distance. Right? And that's always going to be the biggest thing. Maybe sometime down in the future when things kind of become a little easier, or again. Then it could maybe change, and maybe we could move down the line, maybe.
And also another country I really like is Taiwan, which a lot of Americans call it what? Thailand? No, Taiwan, which is not China. A lot of mainland Chinese will call, no, Taiwan belongs to us. No, it's not. Taiwan is Taiwan. It's its own country. Sure, we have the same sauce, ancestor Chinese, but Taiwan is totally different. Okay, and only thing we didn't choose Taiwan. Why? I think in Taipei, like any major city, capital cities, the rents are very high, and also you get a little bit of space. Remember, we watch HGTV.
Yeah, very small, right? Yeah, for the price and the money, you're definitely getting something small.
Right. But the cost of living actually is pretty good.
Kind of like Mexico City.
Yeah, the cost of living is good. You buy food, you go to restaurants. It's very affordable, right, compared to other countries.
Right.
It's more affordable.
And I've heard also you mentioned before, like the food culture is not as good there.
Food culture, I cannot say it's not good. I can say it's not for me. Okay.
Maybe not as varied.
Yeah. It does vary, but we love spicy food.
Yeah.
I asked the Shanghai man who moved there, any Sichuan food, which is the spicy food. He said, yeah, it's hard to find because the food in Taiwan, any Taiwanese cuisine restaurant, you go there, barely find anything spicy. Maybe bring your own chili.
Then solve that problem.
Right. And it's very peaceful there. I know in Taiwan, people talk about even you lost a wallet on the street. People will pick it up and chase you. Hey, you lost a wallet. Nice. You lost a purse in the restaurant. Nobody take it. That's just the quality of life there.
Right.
Very peaceful, very safe. People are very nice.
Oh, sure. And so, which is nice. So again, we've considered Southeast Asia.
That too.
And now, again, the last place we've heard a little bit about, maybe over the last year or two, is kind of gaining popularity is Portugal. Right? Again, from what I understood, I think when you talk about residency requirements, I think it is fairly simpler to get. And they have different ways to get residency, so it's a little bit easier. I've heard cost of living as compared to the rest of Europe or Western Europe is much more affordable. And so it's kind of a good place as a jumping off spot, because I think once you get there into kind of Europe, then whether you take trains or even flying domestically or within the continent, it also becomes a lot more affordable. So again, I think people consider it because one, it also has pretty temperate climates, right? Being on the coast, it doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. And like I said, if you want to go and enjoy other parts of Europe, then again, train or plane is going to be a lot less expensive than if you fly from the U.S., obviously. So again, I think this is why it's kind of gaining in popularity. Now, again, for us, I mean, we've never really considered Europe. Again, ourselves
not
personally.
For this moment, I think just the whole family business thing. I think for this moment, it's just way far. Maybe down the way, we're going to visit first.
Right.
And what I understand is in Portugal, lots of cities, popular cities, there are more people speak English.
Right. Yeah.
Like But I watch another YouTube video. They talk about the Lago, which is the beach town,
Right.
beach city, which literally 90% of people speak English.
Oh wow.
But maybe it's more tourist area.
Sure, it could be, right? So again, all these areas are popular. I think the number one reason we chose Mexico though is because of distance and proximity.
Yeah, that's the number one.
Right. I mean, because again, just business and family. For me, it just makes it a lot easier to travel back. Now, again, there are lots of other reasons why we decided to come to Mexico, and so we'll kind of get into that. I know Beach Life. Hey, how we doing?
Hi, Beach Life.
Thanks for joining us again. You did ask a question about.
Let's see what he says.
I've thought about visiting Thailand, but the cost and the distance continues to be a challenge.
Yeah,
agreed.
The cost, especially the flights.
Yeah,
it's expensive. Easily, you look at, let's say, $1,500 a ticket.
Yeah, again, and that's probably at a good time. I try to go now during Christmas, probably also crazy. And I know for both of us, when we went together, and when we traveled alone in Thailand, we went there from China.
Right.
So it was a lot more affordable back then. And again, you're not traveling as far. So we definitely understand distance and cost from the Western Hemisphere can be an issue.
The ticket is more, but once you get there, well, everything's more affordable.
Yeah, once you get there.
Once you get there.
All right, so kind of switching gears into why we chose Mexico. Right.
Come back.
Now, one of the biggest things that draws people to Mexico in general is going to be the cost of living. I think that's pretty common knowledge for anybody out there. Now, what exactly does that mean? When you break it down, I guess we're talking to one about things like rents, right? Where are you going to stay?
Yeah, I mean, Mexico City, that's the exception. Everything here, of course, it's more. Of course, we could find something lower price rent. You can find a little bit further or older. Right. But but for us, it's hard. Maybe for you, it's easier if you're single or retirees. Right. But for us, we have kids. We want to find a park nearby, the schools, the safety, like everything. It's just consider it. Right. If only us, it's very easy.
It does open up a lot more possibilities. Sure. So I think, like you said, in most of Mexico, when people move here, the rents are going to be, and even no, I would exclude Mexico City. Right. But besides Mexico City, most other places in Mexico.
Puerto Vallarta is also high.
Yeah.
Cabo.
Right. But I guess if you were to consider to other beach towns in the U.S., maybe.
Yeah.
Right. And again, there's a few exceptions. Yeah, Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, here, Mexico City. But again, those are three cities as compared to the rest of the country. You're going to get a lot more house, for your money, or apartment. Like I know in Queretaro, our house it's on the market now. It's about 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
Maybe about approximately 1,500 square feet for a brand new home. It's only been around 2 years, almost about a year and a half, and we're renting it for what's the equivalent in USD?
About maybe $800.
$800. Right?
Because now it's I use 1 to 17.
Sure.
So it's much less.
Right.
But much more in the USD.
Yeah. But if you were to take that same house and go put it in a nice, decent suburb, or around a major city like Houston or out to New York, whatever, I mean, you're going to be talking 1,500, 1,600, 1,800 to 2,000 plus, depending on what part of the country you're in. So I mean, for in our opinion, a very nice house in a very nice area, you can hardly get that. And in a gated community, for $800 a month, that's almost impossible in the U.S.
We have some new people just arrived to watch our live. If you are first time here, I'm Lindy.
Roddy.
Yeah, and in our video, this live, we're going to talk about why we chose Mexico City or Mexico as our second home. And we don't plan to go back to the U.S. for the moment.
And so if you have any questions, about Mexico itself, if you're considering moving here or living here and just want to add your opinions, again, feel free to leave us a chat. And we always love to know where you're joining us from. So if you want to just drop where you're from in the chat, we'd be happy to kind of welcome you to our channel.
Right.
So going on with cost of living is what we're talking about now. And Mexico is the main reason we moved to Mexico. We just talked about rents being more affordable here, except Mexico City and a couple of other places.
The bills,
right?
Electricity bills.
Yeah, utilities are much less here, obviously. We just paid, which bill did we just pay?
We paid a little bit more for this month, 2 months, right?
Is that water or gas?
Yeah, it's electricity for $50 we paid.
Oh, yeah, electricity for $50.
But it's also 2 months and it's winter. We put on 2 heaters on in the morning and evenings.
Right.
When we were in Queretaro, which is also central Mexico, maybe about $20 a month averagely.
Right, on average.
Yeah.
And it was it wouldn't get as cold in Querétaro, so we didn't use the heaters as much. So I think that kind of helped keep our bill down, our electricity down. So gas, water, electric, all very inexpensive in Mexico.
Internet.
Internet,
Like
yeah, we
$25
pay,
or $30 a month.
I forgot, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
$25, $30 for very high internet speed, fiber optic, with 5G capabilities. And again, we're paying about $25, $30 a month.
Car insurance.
Car insurance,
Oh my God,
or
that's
just
so
upkeep
low.
of a car. I just got my oil changed,
Uh-huh.
right? Oil change, they re-upped all the fluids, and I think that cost, like I said, 900 pesos, if I'm not mistaken. So again, you're looking at, that's what, 1,000 pesos?
Yeah.
900 bucks, about $50.
Yeah.
Right? Which is so-so. I know some places in the U.S., depending on where you go and what they do and the type of oil, again, that can vary, but it's pretty affordable as compared to other places like when I went to the dealership. Oh, when I went to the dealership, that was very expensive.
Yeah, don't go to the dealership.
But yeah, how much do we pay for car insurance for the year?
I think about $400.
Yeah, 400. Yeah,
somewhere there for $100 US.
$400 for the year for insurance. For our
in Houston, how much you paid?
That's a lot.
I think that was a truck.
It was maybe like
on the lease.
140 a month, maybe.
Somewhere 140
a month.
Yeah.
Right.
A month.
And again, that was for full coverage, but still, that's a huge difference in the amount that you pay for insurance. And then things like food are much less expensive here. We've done a few lives and a few videos about the cost of living and going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And again, just you're talking about maybe half, at least half the price for food here than in the U.S. on average.
Especially our vegetables.
Oh, veggies are so
That's
cheap.
why we eat more here.
Oh yeah.
Meats are also cheaper, at least averagely 30% cheaper.
On average, I would definitely say meats and veggies are cheaper. Oh, meats are cheaper. Veggies are definitely cheaper. And then what else we put?
We have one question coming in from Gina.
Oh, hey Gina, how are we doing?
Hi Gina,
Thanks
how
for
are
joining
you?
us. Says, why did you move? Or why did you leave your new home? Hi from Las Vegas. Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
So I'm guessing you're talking about why did we leave Querétaro and why did we leave our home in Querétaro?
You mean Querétaro, or we also have a new home outside Houston? I'm a little bit confused.
It
Either
could
way.
be. Yeah. Well.
Oh, maybe the means Querétaro.
I'm guessing Querétaro, right?
Yes.
Again, if you want to clarify, for us, we'd appreciate it, but we'll go ahead and answer the question as if you're talking about Querétaro.
Okay.
So, why did we move? We have done a video on this as well. So, Querétaro, like we did enjoy, great weather, nice, but I guess maybe when it gets down to it, it just kind of became a little bit too small, a little bit too slow pace of life. Is kind of generalizing it, and for some, a slow pace of life, and is kind of what they're looking for. But I think being relatively young, again, having Louie with us, having a son, Mexico City just offers so much more. And again, is it perfect? No, and we've talked about that as well.
Yeah.
Some of the issues that with living in a big city, but at the end of the day, there's just more stuff. More entertainment. There's just food. It's just a more lively city. There's more things for children to do. I think even like I said with Louie, it was always kind of the park, which we do a lot here too, but there's still so much more we've done with him. So I think that kind of is the basic idea of why we decided to move to Mexico from Querétaro.
Yeah, the basic one. Yeah. I mean, cost of living here is even more for the rent. Even more. Other costs of living are pretty similar. That's what we realized so far.
Right.
But does offer lots of things to do. About over 200 parks, about 170 museums. For kids, it's just so much to explore, to learn. And I like the energy in Mexico City. Every time I just take a walk, I see their Insurgent Avenue and Avenue Reforma, if you know. It just gave me the feeling like I got charged. Just the whole city vibes. I love it.
Oh yeah. So there's just so much more that Mexico City, offers, and we're still enjoying the ups and the downs that come with it. Like I said, but overall, it's we really, really enjoyed here. And so again, it was a big decision after buying the house, but that house is now on the market. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll sell it.
Yeah, and go from there. So I hope that answered your question, All right. Now moving on, I guess the reasons why people move. Talked about cost of living. We can get into more detail, but we won't. I think that's
Right, we
People get the idea.
we're gonna make another full video about cost of living.
Right.
And write things
The
down,
full
check out the
cost of
bills.
living, yeah.
Yeah.
The next, as we mentioned when we were talking about other places to move to, is the proximity back to the U.S. I think that's another big reason, why we moved to Mexico, and again, why we don't necessarily need to move back because we're so close. I think when we were living in Houston and like things like, and if I needed to go back home, like we talked about emergencies back home, or for whatever reason, to drive from Houston to where I'm from, it takes about 6 hours. Well, guess what? If I leave on a plane to get back to my hometown, McAllen, it takes about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Right now, again, obviously, I'm dealing with the schedule of the flight. I mean, I just can't like leave right now and be there in 6 hours, but roughly.
Yeah, you just think this way. If we move back to Houston, Roddy has to go back to work 9 to 5, five days a week. It takes lots of time from his time from family.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes if you have some coaching or something, now we come back 7, 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Which because the Houston cost of living is much higher, easily 40% higher.
Sure.
Then, especially now after the inflation, everything is even getting higher, or you get less. I'm talking about the supermarket, buy food,
right,
or go to a restaurant.
Right.
So, and the quality of life, then you're going to save some money. Everything you are on the budget. Like, hey, what about a weekend? Let's take Louie to the zoo. No, that's additional $80.
If you're lucky.
Right. If you're lucky, whole day, tickets, 3 of us, food, entertainment, like, and daycare in Houston, the cheapest one we found was 800.
800.
Okay, 800. But that's the cheapest one. Where it depends on where we live, finally.
And then what are we paying now? About $250?
Yeah, we paid about 4,600 pesos, which less than $300, and which is not even half cheap, like 1/3, close to 1/3 of cheap.
With including food and cameras that we can watch them all day.
Yeah, and here Roddy doesn't have to go to work from our cash flow from real estate, and we can enjoy doing what we do. Like we're sitting here talk to you guys, right? It's something we enjoy doing. We have more time with family, kids.
You've got to think, like you said, either
and
one of two things, right? Either I have to go back to work, or we need more real estate.
Yeah, we need to buy more.
But I would have to work while we acquire that real estate. So it would be the working plus more working to acquire real estate.
Yeah, you literally is working, but we live the quality of life. It still can be tight, everything on the budget, right? Like, oh, there's another show, just like a Bleepy show. If you have kids, the Bleepy show, very popular. We paid 3 of us.
1,300 pesos?
Right.
1,350?
So 1,300, that's about, let's say about $70.
Right.
And then I asked Rod, hey, do they also have a Bleepy show in Houston? And he said, yes, they have it in the Sugarland, Houston. So check it out, how much they sell the tickets for.
Right. And then I looked right there while we were in the stadium or the auditorium. I looked on, okay, well, here we would see, I was trying to find the approximate place that we were sitting to kind of give a comparison. I don't want to choose the cheap seats and be, look, it's almost the same. No, but like about the same seat where we were sitting, it cost about $80. So again, all 3 of us paid the price of one ticket that was in Houston. Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Oh, there's a monster truck show. I don't even go because the tickets are more expensive. Yeah, but once $200, Roddy and Louie went there. And we bought some things.
Yeah, sure. There's the kids. You buy some popcorn, some food. Every kid got it. Souvenirs. Yeah. Parking. Parking. Yeah, everything's more. Oh yeah, crazy. But that's what I'm saying. We have a kids, family living here. Here, Mexico City, the zoo is free. And a very nice zoo. Yeah, very nice panda, zoo. Very nice. Very close. This is the last time we went. The panda, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many things that, it makes it more affordable and better to live here. And again, on top of the proximity to the U.S., like we talked about, it's easy to get back. And I think the quality of life even better here. Right. Well, which is, again, all the things that we're kind of talking about, right? Is it all adds to the quality of life. Right. So you can spend more money to the restaurants as everything is 40-50% cheaper. That means you can go to restaurant more. Oh yeah. Right. In Houston, like, oh, this is our budget. Maybe once, maximum twice a week. Right. What kind of restaurant do we go? Yeah. Maybe you have to budget a bit. Maybe for fast food, for 3 of us, you just go to pick a fast food place. You're probably gonna spend $25-30 maybe. Easily. And as compared to here, for that money, you can get a decent
restaurant style food, better quality food for that same price.
And we can go out more.
And we can go out more.
Cook less, go out more.
Right.
Even just some street food.
Oh yeah,
we enjoy it. It's so good. And talk about the street food. That's also the culture I like in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
It's like in China. Like I grow up, we go out. Oh, here's the street food. Here's the street vendor selling things. Right here, you see it in US. Besides the truck, the food truck area.
Oh right.
You don't have those culture there.
No. I'm just curious. I know we have a few people watching. What are people paying right now, to go out?
Right.
Again, I'm guessing fast food is about $25, $30. Again, we're talking for a family of 3. Anybody out there want to chime in? What is an average meal cost going out?
Yeah, and where do you live?
Yeah, because that does affect the price, obviously.
So maybe McDonald's price are similar.
Maybe, don't know. But yeah, like I said, the food culture here. I mean, like I know that little birria place we like to go to on the corner. What is it like?
Yeah, I think I paid 50 pesos for a small package deal. I have 3 birria taco and 1 small consomé, which is the beef soup.
Yeah.
50 pesos.
Right.
That's about $3 for my lunch.
Right. And I think mine was 70, but I think I got 5 and a bigger consomé.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So let's say for 2 of us, if we don't have leftover, I don't cook for lunch. How much we spent averagely?
Yeah, that was
like a $6, $7.
Yeah.
Maximum.
For a very good meal. And again, a lot less processed. Talking about better quality meats and stuff, and some nice brothy soup.
Yeah.
Which again would even probably they give it to you as part of the meal here. I mean, in the U.S. they'd probably charge you $7, $8, $9 for that.
Easily, yeah. and plus the tips.
And plus tips. Right.
Here also you get like 20 pesos.
Right. And they do it's becoming a little bit more popular to give tips and kind of ask for tips, but again, it's not really part of the culture as much here. I think it's growing a little bit, but you see a lot of people. I watch other people when they eat and leave and stuff, and a lot of people don't leave tips. It's just again kind of the way it is here. Again, I know a lot of Americans and Canadians are going to say, you should always tip, and yes, I mean, agreed. We always, most times, 9 times out of 10, we do tip, but kind of what's required here, I should say, depending on what it is, where it is, 10, 20, 30 pesos, and if it's a nicer place, of course, maybe 50, 60 pesos, but it just kind of depends. But a 10 peso tip for like some tacos, that's 50 cents.
Yeah. I think another thing is talk about food. Here, you go to supermarket, most places, maybe more farm market, you don't get vegetables with GMO.
Right. Yeah, here, vegetables look how they should look. Right. I know we mentioned this, some of the things where you kind of notice it more are things like tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, right? I mean, you see them back home and like a tomato is like that big.
Oh, the what's called zucchini.
The zucchini, right?
Huge.
Yeah, I mean they're like that. That's not what a zucchini should look like.
And the chicken legs.
Oh
huge.
Yeah, chicken too.
White skin
and huge. Again, chickens naturally should not be that big.
But that's why the chicken's always the cheapest in the U.S.
Right.
They used to sell 99 cents a pound.
Yeah, and I think you've checked recently, said it was roughly about the same.
No, they goes up a little
bit, but
I
not
watched
much.
some other video,
Right.
yeah. But here, the chicken, I think it's similar, but just healthier.
Yeah, less antibiotics, more natural, like free range, if you want to call it. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely nice and more affordable. I think another thing we like about it, and it makes it so nice to live here in Mexico, are just the beaches and how fast and cheap it is to get to a beach.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about that now. We're actually going on a trip to Mazatlan in January. But we've always looked at flights, Cancun or Puerto Escondido, which is Oaxaca, Cabo. I mean, it's obviously going to vary, especially right now during the winter. But flights can be between $100 and $200.
Yeah.
To fly to these destinations. So to get to all these beautiful beaches around Mexico that are so popular with Americans and Canadians coming to Mexico, and it's going to cost more, obviously, flying from the U.S. Yeah, well, maybe Cancun's the exception. I know it can be pretty cheap.
Cancun can be
but other
cheaper,
beaches that aren't as popular, again, very inexpensive to get to.
Yeah, and the thing is, once you get there, in any beach town in the U.S., especially Florida, you go to any seafood market, seafood restaurant, everything costs a fortune, especially as a tourist destination.
Yeah.
And here, we stayed in the Puerto Vallarta, if you know that, for 1 month. We avoid those the ocean side, the beach side restaurant. We went to the more local taco vendors.
Yeah, the fish tacos or fish vendors on the street.
Fish taco, shrimp taco, the beef taco, birria, soups. It was just so affordable.
Oh yeah, maybe 20, 30 pesos,
Yeah.
depending on what it was and the size. Again, very fresh, more locally sourced. Again, just everything getting there, and even the costs of like hotels and apartments are much more affordable here.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to pay a little bit more if you go to the Maya Riviera, which is from Cancun down to Tulum. It's going to be a little bit more pricey, in the Mexico range. But then there's other destinations that are becoming more popular. Again, like the Oaxacan coast, which is Puerto Escondido and Huatulco. If you go to Mazatlan, PV, yeah, a little bit. It is a little bit pricey for the West Coast, but there's even places like Acapulco or Zihuatanejo. So many other beaches that people may not have even heard of that are much more affordable, especially once you get there, even just to stay there. It's going to be a lot more affordable. And so you can extend your stay, right?
Yeah.
Or you just have more money to kind of go out and spend and enjoy your time while you're at the beach.
Right.
Good food.
I remember before heading back to Mexico, we stayed in Houston for a while. Just a Galveston. Galveston, okay, that beach was very okay and not even very clean, some parts.
Yeah.
And the sea view, not even sea view, just a seaside Holiday Inn, $170 a night.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a weekend, maybe like 200. Like it's Holiday Inn in Galveston.
Yeah. And again, Galveston, it is what it is. It's not the nicest beach. Just there's much nicer beaches out in the U.S. And again, like she said, even for that, you got to pay a premium to stay, just to get an ocean view. Right?
And then you get there, and make sure they have a free parking. Then they charge you additional parking, and they're very expensive, like $25 a night or something.
Right.
And the tax and then like.
All right, it adds up real quick.
Yeah, for this price, I just go to Cancun then, all inclusive. If I pay $200 already.
Right. I mean, yeah, you can pay that much, for a night, and you get all your food and drinks included, right? And you get a nice pool, and you get a nice, got the beach right in front of you.
Yeah.
With beautiful water, much more beautiful water. Like I said, I always remember our first time there. When I looked out the window, I didn't think the water was real.
Yeah, we thought it's a glass.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was like the tinted glass was making it look bluer. I was like, I think it's a little bit tinted the glass. I don't think it's that blue. And I went outside and I was like, oh no, it's that blue. It's that beautiful.
I love Cancun. Yeah, just avoid the summer.
Right.
When too much.
Well, all the seaweed comes in. Yeah, and it's too hot. But for some people, I guess summer I would go to the West Coast.
Summertime, go to Cabos.
Right, go to Cabo, go to Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta is still hot, but still better.
Still better, and you're going to get less seaweed and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
For a nicer change. People always want to flock to the Maya Riviera. Check out the West Coast. A lot of nice stuff out there.
Yeah.
And again, the lesser known place that we're going to, Mazatlan, right?
Expecting some tasty seafood. Shrimps.
Yeah, Mazatlan is known for its seafood industry. Again, that's where a lot of the seafood from Mexico comes, is out of the port of Mazatlan.
Now, we went to Mercado in Queretaro, where we stayed before, and we asked, where are those shrimps from? They told us, Mazatlan.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going direct to the source. And it's a much bigger town. I think one of the bigger, if not the biggest beach town, maybe behind Acapulco, maybe.
Yeah.
But again, it's lesser known, but it is a big town with a big entertainment district area called the Golden Zone.
The Golden Zone,
right? The Zona Dorado. We're never been there. We're expecting a lot. We will bring these episodes to you soon. I think we'll be there in January.
Yeah, we're going to drive all the way from Mexico City to Mazatlan.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but that's also brings to another thing. There's so much to explore here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's true of any country.
Yeah,
so obviously, you go to the U.S., oh, hey, MS, how you doing?
Hi,
you go to the U.S., there's lots of places to visit. We've been to a few. We did a road trip to the West Coast once, but there's still so much to visit. So I'm not trying to say there's nowhere to visit in other places, but while you're here in Mexico, there's so many places to go that are unexpected places that the longer you stay here, you start going to the more kind of national tourist destinations.
And the road trip in the U.S. can cost a fortune. Like we did it once.
Oh yeah.
We easily would spend maybe $20,000.
20?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He spent it, he doesn't know. Sure.
Yeah, she counts, I spent. Right?
Yeah, but here, at least $15.
Right.
But here, no matter what, for the whole month trip all the way there, it would be
much less expensive. I think one of the more expensive things on the trip itself will be the tolls.
Tolls, gas,
Right.
gas are similar.
Right. Gas is similar to Texas. Tolls are more. And again, the reason we take the toll roads is, again, they do tend to be safer here in Mexico. You know, if you want to talk about one of the negatives, and it kind of can lead into one of our points, you know, they always say when you're in Mexico and you're driving, stick to the tolls, drive during the day. And especially we are going through, you know, Jalisco and Sinaloa, which are considered the more dangerous states. But again, stick to the toll roads. You know, they're patrolled. They don't have as many entrance and exits. They're usually from toll booth to toll booth. You can't get on or off. So again, they're much more controlled, and they're a lot better quality. They're lit up at night and stuff, but don't drive at night. So it's going to be an interesting drive to say the least. But I think that can lead to our next point: is that Mexico is not as dangerous as people think. Right?
Yeah, we're not talk about totally safe. I know there is a Canadian couple drove their RV and they got robbed, but they're also on the random road, like nobody on the road. Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, they weren't on the toll road.
No, I don't think so. It's kind of some dirt road. Right.
Most incidents where you hear of this happening, again, I don't know 100%, and I'm sure there's been some incidents on toll roads, I'm sure, tend to happen on smaller, like state highways, or smaller, like the dirt roads that kind of go into the more interior parts, smaller, less traveled areas. I think that's where you tend to see things happen. If you stick to the major highways, if you definitely stick to the toll roads, you're much less likely to run into these types of incidents. You know, I think a lot of this is how Mexico is portrayed by the United States. You know, through movies, social media, or the news. Right? That is, you know, it's all these dangerous things are happening. Cartel violence and just violence in general. Again, a lot of the violence tends to be between cartels.
Right.
Now sometimes innocent people do get caught in the crosshairs, but again, this tends to happen in smaller towns and less popular areas. But again, there have been some incidents like in the Maya Riviera, like in the Cancun area and Tulum. There have been some incidents in the past. But again, once the story comes out, then you find out, oh, the foreigners who were involved, not always, usually, you know, they were trying to buy drugs. They're trying to do some illegal activity, and you're like, okay. You know, but the U.S. news reports it as a tourist was shot. Right. But again, much safer. Places like Queretaro, right? It's considered one of the safest places in Mexico, or where we lived. Merida is considered, like, you know, I don't know what their metrics are, how they define it, but it's like the second safest city in North America, right? Not just Mexico, in North America. I think it was like Quebec was number one, and then like Merida was number two. So again, it's definitely a lot safer country than people think. Again, does stuff happen? Sure, it happens everywhere. Go live in Houston, go live in Chicago, right? And tell me if you feel any safer in some of those neighborhoods than traveling through Mexico.
Right. Yeah. And even Mexico City, some people heard stories like, oh, it's so dangerous, don't go there. Like before we travel here, I also have no idea. I feel, oh, it can be dangerous. But once we got here, the first time I already feel pretty safe. We took a walk. I said, oh, look at those neighborhoods, the colonial neighborhoods. It's so peaceful. People are in the park. At the night we went out, there's so many bars and the restaurants, the locals or tourists, they're sitting around. You just feel like, oh, okay, now I got it. Right. So always feel it by yourself. Never get fooled by some people who even never been here. Right,
don't have all the information, right? You know, I think in areas you don't see as much like crazy violent crime in the random areas. Again, does it happen? Sure. I think a lot of the crime that does happen in more touristy areas is kind of the smaller petty crimes, you know, robberies, things like that. Which again, if it's happening to you, I'm sure it doesn't feel petty, but as compared to what people consider as far as Mexico and how dangerous they think it is, it's definitely not as bad as that. Right?
Yeah, what I know is people travel to Spain or France, Italy, Rome, and a lot of people got robbed.
Right.
It happens so very often. Just type in. I'm not telling you any story. Just Google search it on YouTube. I talk about travel in Europe, get robbed, scammed. Like one Chinese guy traveled there the other day. He took a YouTube video. He was in I think he was in Barcelona. He was just about to park. Some guy stopped him on the motorbike, an older gentleman. And he knocked down the window and just talked to the guy. Maybe he's telling him where to park or some things. His Spanish is not good. It was just literally 30 seconds. He was very cautious, and he found his backpacker in the back seat in his car.
While he was
gone.
in it.
While he's there, it's gone. You know how dangerous it is.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
just be very cautious. But here in Mexico City, or most place in Mexico, of course, some story maybe happen here, there.
Yeah.
Right, but it's not as crazy as Europe is.
Yeah, so again, I think these areas, more into central part of Mexico City are definitely safer. Crime does happen. Watch your back. Be aware of your surroundings. Like you've heard 1,000 times, because things can and do happen. But as far as the level that people portray it at,
over there in Europe, there are groups. They're in the metro, in the tourist spot. They're experienced scammers and the thieves.
Right.
Okay. They're always a few of women, a pregnant woman, which you don't feel dangerous around you, but that's just a cover.
Right.
They're normally in the subway, anywhere. They just get your wallet easily. It's crazy.
Yeah. We've been here a short time. We have traveled here before many times. And again, we've never had that sense, of any kind of imminent serious danger or been approached. We've never been approached for come buy this, come do this, come, nothing like that. Which again, you tend to go to these other big cities around the world,
especially pedestrian streets.
Pedestrian streets. They tend to call you, right? Like a girl or some guy, like come do this, come do that. Here, go down to Zocalo, down the walking street.
We never met him.
Nothing, and never seen it.
And I look very tourist. And I always hold a camera.
So we look like the targets, but again, that's never happened to us. So that's, I think, definitely one of the good things about moving here. It's definitely not as dangerous as people think. Right. Now, when it comes on the family end of things, or the kind of the longer you stay here, things you need to consider, right? And especially for families, things like medical care and schools, are very good here. I think again, they're much better than people think.
The doctor talk to us can be 30 minutes.
Right.
They really spend their time, have a conversation with you.
Right.
I know in the US, that was in and out quick.
In and out. How fast can they get you in and out?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
And give you a prescription and go.
Okay, finally wait, the nurse, this, that, finally the doctor walking with Louie that time.
Yeah.
10 minutes, in and out, no question, okay, bye.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah, here, they're much more willing to give you their phone numbers. And again, if you have any questions, you can always contact them, which we've done in the past, for my personal doctor, for Louie's doctor back in Queretaro. I remember he had that rash one time. We sent pictures to the doctor, personally. And again, and she responded very quickly. With suggestions of what to do. They actually treat you like a person here, right? And again, the quality of care is just much better. The hospitals, now we are talking from our experience in private hospitals, right? We really can't speak of public hospitals ourselves personally, but I've heard that the care is still very good and much more affordable.
I heard of 40 peso.
40 pesos?
Yes, in the public hospital.
For a checkup, right?
Yeah, checkup.
Right. And so what we pay in a private hospital, up to the last time we went, was 700 pesos, right? So again, which is still not bad as compared to U.S. pricing, and again, and that's without insurance as well. We were just paying for everything out of pocket, and it was very affordable. And again, the facilities are very nice, state of the art. Everything you would expect in a Western hospital, or U.S. or Canadian hospital, you get here in Mexico with much better care.
Yeah, I heard in Canada, people gonna wait for a long time to go to see a doctor.
Oh yeah, especially when you're getting referred to specialists, and again, it can take a long time. I actually just did an interview with a gentleman whose whole story was about coming to Mexico because of the care or lack of care he got in Canada. He had some serious issues, and it took him a while to see his general doctor. And then by the time he was to see a specialist, they said it might be 3 or 4 or 5 months. He got his notice. He was already in Mexico, but he finally got the email. Okay, you can now go see the specialist. He said he had to wait almost a year to get that letter to go see the specialist, which was crazy.
How long are you gonna wait in US?
Not that long.
Not that long.
Maybe a few weeks. Wow. Right. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, but care here is excellent.
Oh, then dental.
Oh yeah, dentist too, right?
Right. Here it's just more affordable. Like I had a bridge that was in Queretaro. The name I went, I love it. It's called Central Dental by the Orthodox. Right. And they take care of me very well. Yeah. They also speak English, especially come to teeth. I come to any medical, I don't understand. So it was very good in communication. The price is more affordable.
Again, by half or more, right?
Yeah,
At least.
even because I have a lot of teeth issues, so it can save me lots of money.
Oh yeah, well.
In the US, it's very expensive.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember I had a bridge in the US was at least $4,000. I forgot how much, but it was years ago.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
right?
here is, and then you can still negotiate a little bit as you pay cash.
Right.
And
But not much.
And the one I went is a pretty good one.
Right.
If your Spanish is good, you find some more local school dentistry, you may even find better price.
Better price.
Yeah,
but again, it was a very good dentist. Like again, he had like all this like nice high-tech German equipment and stuff like that he was very proud of. And I mean, it was a very nice dental office for sure. Right? They even had their own labs there and stuff.
But the price is very affordable.
Right. So, but I think if you
have some cash there sitting there, prepared for it, yes.
Yeah, easy, better. And then I think again on the other side, if you have families and you're considering moving to Mexico, the schools here, again, you have to pay for, but again, the affordability of having to pay for those schools is again much better, and you're getting a very good quality education. Now, again, we can't speak to public education. We haven't really looked into it too much.
Yeah, I know in Shanghai, China, the international schools charge a fortune.
Especially like the American school. It's crazy.
Easily like 2,000 to 3,000 USD a month. That's about 20,000 RMB.
Right. Yeah. And we've looked into a couple here, like in our location, and I think even the French school in Queretaro, they all run about 10,000 pesos, give or take. Some a little bit less, some a little bit more. But let's call it 10,000 pesos for an international school. Like the one in Querétaro was the French school. I think the Canadian was like 12 or something, 13.
Yeah.
Here we have the British school right around the corner. And I think they said it's also about 10,000, maybe 11,000. And then they have the Catholic school, which is right like one block away. And they said that one's about 8,000 pesos.
Well, it's just more affordable. Even we spent, let's say, $600-700 US a month for Louie's international school here. But we save on other things, other cost of living. Right. And they are good quality schools.
Right. And if you were to send your kid to a private school in the U.S., how much does that cost? I don't even know.
Right.
But I'm going to imagine it's going to be more than $600-800 a month.
Right.
For the most part.
Of course, they can go to public.
And they can go to public school, but
same here.
Yeah, you go to public school here. But again, being a teacher in the public education system in the U.S. for almost 20 years. Yeah.
Well, that's why
it's not what it used to be.
But that's why people choose a better school district. They want all 10 to 10A, not C.
Yeah, but again, how many of those school districts exist? And not everybody can move there. Most of the people can't.
Most of these areas rents are supposed to be a bit higher.
Sure. Right. So if you want to go to those top quality public schools, they're rare and more expensive to live there. So again, most people can't. Right, the majority of people in the U.S. can't afford to go to those good districts.
Yeah, that's why we saw. Why some kids live in this neighborhood, like go to the school you went, you teach there, because of the rent is cheaper. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I don't know.
Right, and location for parents, the proximity to work.
Right.
But again, public education system in the U.S. and again Texas, so maybe it's the same. Maybe it's slightly better than here in Mexico. But who knows? But we know private or international schools, again, are very affordable here in Mexico in general.
And it's good for kids to learn one more language.
Yeah, I think we've heard that. A lot of the schools, they'll teach in English and Spanish, and then they'll have like some third language that they teach. I know we've talked to the...
I mean, even not the third language. We just talk about the Spanish.
Sure.
Louie can handle Spanish very well. That's one more language means one more opportunity for him down the way. Right.
And I'm just speaking in general, like someone, I think the British school, I think they also do like a French class. Not necessary, but it's just nice that they actually teach that as well. Again, it just helps to expand their horizon, right? Give them more opportunity. If they speak English, Spanish, hey, you throw French in there, cool, right? I know it's the international law language. So I mean, these are all things that we really enjoy about, kind of the deeper side of living in Mexico, right? Things that sometimes people don't consider: medical, education,
and then walkability, transportation. Yeah, living
in Mexico City.
In Mexico City, especially.
Yeah.
Yes, but even in for like a Mérida, Querétaro, Guadalajara. Once you live in town, you don't live in the suburbs.
Right.
It's also very walkable, lots of places you can reach.
Yeah.
But US is hard. You have to drive. Most people have to drive.
Right. So maybe New York and Chicago maybe have some metro systems, and that's about it. After that,
but most people prefer to live in the suburbs.
Right. Or take the train maybe, but still, it's a very small percentage of the U.S. Again, we do have a question for you.
Oh, okay. MS asked me, I have a question for Lindy. Has it been easy for you to make Mexican friends? I don't know if it's just me. It has been quite difficult for me. Yeah, I think it's, I know some Mexican ladies who speaks good English. So it's easy. Once the language is not an issue, it's easy to communicate and build the relationship, friendship. But if language is the main issue, it's hard. Yeah, for me, it would be also hard. I mean, culture-wise, for me, it's easy to make friends with any culture. I don't really think it's a big cultural gap.
Maybe just the language. But
I think that's the language
but you're learning.
gap. Right. I'm also learning Spanish.
Right.
But there are also people, Mexican, speak good English or pretty conversational English, and which can be also learn Spanish from them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have many Mexican friends, but I don't think it's a big issue. I just generally don't have many friends.
I didn't want to say it.
That's no problem.
So there's that side of it. Yeah, I think a lot of it maybe has to do with language, but again, that's why she's learning, and it's something that people should do if you decide to come to Mexico is learn the language. Makes life a lot easier.
But for the beginning, sure, if the Mexican speak good English, it's a step number one.
Sure. It helps.
Yeah, you're gonna talk.
Right. And again, maybe kind of staying on that social issue of sides. When you go out and meet people, I think one of the good things I've also liked about here is just there seems to be less politics in the air. Right. In the U.S., it seems to kind of dominate everything, which kind of becomes annoying quite a bit. Are you left or you right? What side of the on this issue? What side do you stand on? For the most part, we don't care. Whatever our opinion is fine. Whatever your opinion is fine. But again, it seems to be amplified in the U.S. as far as there's always constant fighting. You get here to Mexico, you see a lot less of that amongst the foreigner groups, right? Now, again, not saying that you don't see it.
We hear that.
We hear it, right? And I remember we went to that one party at Ken's place, and we literally walked in here and hear some older gentlemen talking about Trump and stuff like that. Like, we kind of came here to escape it, and you do escape it. Again, not completely. It's still there. I just don't think it's as big an issue here. You hear a lot less of it.
True.
When you go out. Again, people kind of leave that back in the U.S., and so it's kind of a nice relief to come and not have to worry, have that in the back of your mind, or just worry about it in general. It's nice to just be able to go out and have conversation and meet people from other parts of the world who may or may not have different opinions about from you, and it not matter, and just like or dislike the person for who they are, not about their politics.
Right.
You don't have to like everybody you meet. So I think that's another little nice thing about living here. You definitely hear a lot less of that, which is nice. True. Anything else we haven't mentioned? Kind of look at our list. Weather we know. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. So I guess really when you talk about Central Mexico, one of the nicest reasons we love living in Mexico, and again, we'll talk more about Central Mexico, is the weather. Right? And again, we've talked about this 1,000 times. I think most people know, or when people think of Mexico, they think of hot beaches or deserts. That's kind of what's portrayed about Mexico. But Central Mexico the weather is extremely comfortable, right? Very little air conditioning, very few heaters needed. We talked a little bit about it here. Less bills because most houses aren't going to have ACs or heaters, right? So it's very nice, very comfortable. Outside, it's probably, I'm guessing today, if it's I would say maybe 71 degrees. Would be my guess. I'm probably not too far off. And this is December, and again, we're 6,000 feet above sea level. So again, if you're 6,000, so this is the equivalent to like even higher than Denver, right? But when people think of Colorado and Denver, they think of all the cold and the snows, mountains, and people. And here, you can probably go outside in shorts and a t-shirt right now. I know we're in long sleeve, but it's a little colder inside than outside. But outside is extremely nice, and summers don't get that hot. You know, if it hits 90 in Mexico City, that's considered a hot day. You know, mostly probably hangs around low to mid 80s in the middle of summer. So again, in general, very, very nice weather here. We love it.
Yeah. I think that's all we want to talk about today. If anyone has more questions, we have the last minutes to answer you. Then we plan to take a walk.
Yeah. And so again, if anybody out there who sees this later wants to ask a question about, again, living here, real estate, anything we can help you with, we'd love to help you. Just drop a comment and, you know, we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, maybe no more questions.
Well, thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and sign off. And like Landy said, go enjoy the nice weather.
Yeah, because the sun will come down pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
By 5 o'clock.
All right. Enjoy. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.